Welcome to the Over 40 Alpha Podcast with your host, Funk Roberts.
We are live, and welcome to episode number 169 of the Over 40 Alpha Podcast. This is Funk Roberts, and I'm your host. I'm a former professional athlete turned master metabolic trainer, certified hormone and testosterone expert, and a health and fitness guru for men in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond. And I'm your host, and this is your podcast, the podcast for men, where we talk about how to naturally increase testosterone. We talk about mindset strategies. We talk nutrition. We talk recovery. We talk sleep. We talk supplementation. We talk men's health. And today we are going to talk about steps. And do you really need 10,000 steps a day to lose weight and get healthy? Like, is that really a thing? Because that is, if you look in the fitness industry, if you look online, you look everywhere, it's get your steps. In fact, my wife Angela has these step challenges at work all the time. She creates these step challenges at work. And so, I wanted to dive in a little bit more as to, do we even need these steps? But we need these steps. We're more sedentary than ever. Right? Specifically, if you work long hours, if you're on a desk, like I'm at a desk a lot, right? Long hours. I'm here, I'm at a desk, I'm doing podcasts, I'm running my businesses, my companies, doing, our team meetings and just strategic meetings, etc. So if you're at a desk for a long period of time, or if you're commuting, like in a car for a long period of time, if your work actually has you, if you're a driver, we spend a lot of times in front of our screens. We have a lot of daily movement that has decreased dramatically since we were younger. And what's the byproduct? The byproduct is increased weight gain, metabolic slowdown, and a host of all these preventable health issues and chronic health issues that keep popping up. So on my coaching call, because this podcast episode is actually from one of my coaching calls, we talked about how steps can be and should be one of the most effective and simplest. It's simple. It's a simple tool for fat loss. It's a simple tool for metabolic health. It's literally a simple tool for longevity. And it's been right in front of our face. Walking. So that's what we're going to talk about. This episode is going to dive into how you should and can use daily steps, whether it's 7,000 or 10,000 steps, to literally transform your body, transform your health, lose weight, while holding on to the muscle that you're working hard for. I'm not talking about the workouts. I'm talking about as well as. So that's what we're going to talk about here. This is, like I said, this podcast is actually from one of my weekly coaching calls. Sometimes how I'll give you guys an inside listen, an inside feel about what happens inside the Over 40 Alpha Brotherhood. Well, this is what happens inside the Over 40 Brotherhood every single Friday at 9 a.m. For 7 years, we've been doing this. Weekly coaching calls. By the way, if you don't have a program, if you are struggling with weight loss, struggling with a hormonal imbalance, low testosterone, struggling with not knowing what to eat, when to eat, how much to eat, struggling with pain and your recovery is slow and not really knowing what workouts to do. You want to build muscle, but you can't. You want to get rid of the fat or get rid of this belly fat, but you can't. Then join the Over 40 Alpha Brotherhood. Join my program. It's $1 for 30 days. $1 freaking dollar for 30 days. If you go to over40alpha.com, it's literally going to be the best investment that you make today. Over40alpha.com. I have follow along workouts. Dude, all you do is click play. Literally. Click play on your phone, because I have an app, so you can get the workouts from the app or from the website. And guess what? They're follow along, which means you and I are going to work out together. I don't think people understand when I say follow along. I mean, click the button and it's phase one and it's day one. And guess who's sitting in front of you, ready to train with you in the video? It's Funk Roberts. And we're going through a 20-minute workout that you can do in the comfort of your own home. And we're going to do that on Monday. And then on Tuesday, we're going to do some yoga. And then Wednesday, we're going to do another workout. And then Thursday, we're going to do more yoga. And then Friday, we're going to do another workout. Saturday, we're going to do another workout. Sunday, you can do what you want, but you got to get those 10,000 steps in. But not only am I going to give you workouts, and no other program does this, by the way. No other program gives you follow along workouts, okay? Because how are you going to try to figure out what workouts to do? Do you even remember what a goblet lunge is? Do you even know what a goblet lunge is? Do you know what a goblet side to reverse to front lunge is? No, you don't. And I don't expect you to know. That's why I'm here. Also, the nutrition. You can't outtrain a bad diet. So I'm hooking you up with very simple, easy to follow nutrition plan that'll help guide you. That'll tell you what to eat, when to eat, how much to eat. It is so simple. That's why we have 15,000 members. That's why we have thousands and thousands of guys getting results every single day, transforming lives every single day. Probably the most transformations for a program, at least top 5 on the internet for sure. We have recovery strategies, both physical, mental. I talked about the yoga, mobility. We have the brotherhood, which is probably the most powerful thing that's part of the program, is our brotherhood, is our community of guys who are on the same journey as you. We don't talk about pop culture. We don't talk religion. We don't talk politics. We just focus on helping each other be the best we can. New wave of man. That's what I'm creating here. I'm creating a new wave of man. For those listening, I just stood up and showed my new wave of man shirt and our new wave of man hat, because that's what we need to be. And of course, I am going to be there with you. I'm not one of those fitness people who sell you their program and you never see me. In fact, you're going to see me in the Ask Funks when I answer your questions, and you're going to see me every Friday in the coaching calls, and you're also going to see me in the Brotherhood, because I post my sweaty selfies, my nutrition, and my check-ins, and my accountability each week. So I'm here to help you. Your brothers are here to help you. And you have a proven program that works over and over again, specifically designed for men in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond. And you'll be able to listen and have access to this type of stuff, this coaching call 24/7. So in the end, for $1, 30 days, even if you just stay for the 30 days and hightail it, you're still going to lose 5 to 20 pounds, depending on how much you're coming in 30 days. And I say 5 to 20 because that's, we keep stats, we track. So we know that at the one level, the one side, yeah, we have people who lose 20 pounds, but they're probably because they're coming in 300 pounds, 350. And we have people in the low end losing 5 pounds, but it's not just about losing pounds, it's about getting stronger. It's about building muscle. It's about increasing energy. It's about becoming a new wave of man, someone you need to be for yourself, for your family, and those around you. So join the Over 40 Alpha Brotherhood. It's $1 today for 30 days and kickstart your journey into getting in the best shape of your life. Do that now and then listen to this podcast, this episode. Thanks so much for being here, and I'll see you on the other side. Enjoy the podcast. It's the Funk Roberts Experience. Today, we are going to talk about a topic that you probably hear a lot about this in, media, the power of steps, right? Getting 10,000 steps per day. And we're going to talk about how we can incorporate 10,000 steps, but not just how we can incorporate, why it's important, why we need to do this, why adding this to our regular workouts and everything that we do to stay healthy and transform our lives, why adding this can be a game changer. I know I use that word all the time, but I'm telling you guys, there are certain things that when you do in our lives, in our 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, can be a game changer for our overall health. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about 10,000 steps. So, let's start off with, we're more sedentary than ever before, right? I don't know if you guys remember when we were growing up, in the 80s and the 70s. I'm 55, 56 almost. So, 80s, 70s and 80s. I mean, those were my years, baby. Like the 80s were the greatest years, period. I think personally, and even the 70s. But you remember, we were always active. Our parents were always active. A lot of times our parents, because we weren't spending time long hours at a desk. Maybe if you're working 9 to 5, but commuting, long hours at our desk, but most importantly, sitting in front of our screens. I'm guilty as charged, right? I'm in front of the screen a lot for a lot of the days because I'm doing, my work is online. But our daily movement from those days to now have completely decreased, right? And a lot of that leads to weight gain. A lot of that leads to metabolic slowdown. A lot of that leads to a host of health issues that can be preventable, right? That we don't want to have to prematurely have to fight, because we could have done something to help prevent the health issue. But one of the simplest forms and effective tools for fat loss, for metabolic health, for longevity is walking, period. Like that is, science has proven it, research has proven it over and over again, that walking should be a non-negotiable. And this is outside of our workouts, outside of our recovery. This is as well as. So it doesn't matter if we're trying to lose a little bit more fat, whether we're trying to improve our heart rate, we're trying to boost testosterone, build muscle and preserve muscle, increase our overall energy levels, whatever that is. Walking should be part of the total lifestyle. We got to get up and we got to walk more. And I think what happens is walking is it's the easiest thing to do, unless you have physical issues, but it is the easiest thing to do. But I think what happens is people want complication. People want, oh, well, you're trying to tell me if I just walk a little bit more, it's going to help me. Yeah, it's going to help you. And it's the easiest thing to do. And I think it comes down to, people are just a little bit more, lazy, right? It's an easy thing. They're a little bit lazy and they want something more. And so let's dive into what this is in regards to the 10,000 steps. So again, we have our workouts, right? We have our nutrition. All of those are essential. We have recovery. All of those are essential. But the secret weapon is what's called NEAT. It's called non-exercise active thermogenesis. Okay. These are the calories that we burn by just the movement that we do throughout the day. Okay. Because remember, when we're working out, we're only working out for like an hour, right? Like in total, it's an hour long. What about the other 23 hours, right? If you're just working out for an hour and then let's say I sit in front of the computer for, 16 hours or what have you, and then I sleep, what are we doing in between, right? There's that little hour is not going to be enough calories for us to burn in order for us to, lose weight or improve our energy, etc. And so for me, that was one of the biggest aha moments for myself, because as I was mentioning before, I sit in front of a computer most of the day and I wasn't doing any walking. I wasn't doing anything to add to, the workouts and everything else that I was doing. And I really started to feel that. I have back issues, very bad back. So I felt that in my back. I felt that, because I wasn't moving enough. And it wasn't until Angela, we started to incorporate walking after we ate, right? At nighttime, we'd walk after we ate, going on hikes and really leaning into the 10,000 steps, that I started to see a difference, not only in getting leaner, but also my recovery improved. I wasn't getting I wasn't as sore, or my back wasn't hurting as much, and my energy started to increase much better. So just doing those and really focusing and almost becoming like hyper focused on getting the steps, was a way of me actually making sure that I continued on that journey, right? So every single day, 10,000 steps, and it's funny to see my, Angela, my wife, because a lot of times we think that we're getting, we assume that we get 10,000 steps. Well, I work at a job that, I'm up all the time. I'm walking from office to office. I got this and that. And so we always assume that we have 10,000 steps, but man, it is very difficult to get 10,000 steps, specifically if you're not tracking. You have to track, right? I always talk about having data. Data drives our decisions, right? Not I think, but actual facts, right? It's emotional intelligence. It's actual facts that should drive our decisions on what we're doing. So we think that we get 10,000 steps. My wife, she's a staff sergeant. She works in forensics. And, the building is a massive building. So she's always going from A to B to everywhere. But the days that she doesn't work out, days that she doesn't focus on her steps, she comes home and she's like, man, I gotta get 4,000 steps. Right after a long day of work, she still has to get 4,000 steps. So she's like, all right. And then she's gone. Like she'll walk. She'll just get the steps done. She'll leave the house and she'll walk for an hour. She has this route that she does, or she'll walk around in the house back and forth to get those 10,000 steps. Like that is how important that is to her, to stay consistent with it. But let's talk about why it's 10,000 steps. What does that have to do with everything? Why does it this 10,000 steps? And so, as I mentioned, it's an underrated tool, but the truth is, we have to be doing things outside of the gym. So as I mentioned before, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, that's where this comes in, right? It refers to the calories that we burn throughout daily movement. It could be walking, it could be fidgeting, it could be general physical exercise. That's not part of your structured workout, because we already have that in place. We got the workout, we got the recovery, it's already in place. But what are we doing extra to help us with our calorie burn, to help us with our energy, right? And so this is where implementing this 10,000 steps per day comes in. And it's a magic number for health, but it's not like, well, let me keep going. So where did 10,000 steps come from? This came from Japan. In 1965 in Japan, they had this pedometer called the Manpo-kei. I may pronounce this wrong, but the Manpo-kei. Manpo-kei means 10,000 steps meter. Okay. And it was marketed to encourage movement. This is in Japan, 1965. And that Manpo-kei or Manpo-kei, that really gained popularity, specifically with research. So researchers started to look at, what the benefits of higher steps would do for cardiovascular health, what it would do for metabolic function, what it would do for weight management. And while 10,000 steps was the marketing that we used, right? Like not we, but that was used, right? You get to 10,000 steps because it's a 10,000 step meter. And that's really where the original marketing strategy came. But modern science has proven that it's really effective as a baseline. But studies have shown that hitting 7,500 to 10,000 steps a day, that is going to be associated with lower mortality rates, improved heart health, and higher calorie burn. All the things that we want. So it's 7,500 to 10,000, but marketing and the baseline and the Manpo-kei a meaning of 10,000 steps per meter, that's where that came from. So I am one of those guys who say, okay, well, if I tell you 7,500 steps, you're probably going to get 7,500 steps, you're probably going to get 5,000. So let me push you to 10,000, right? We are men who step outside the comfort zone, right? We're not men trying to I'm just trying to be average. We're trying to reach over and above being average, right? We want to reach our potential. And so reaching our potential means we want to push things to where we should be focused on, which is 10,000 steps. So it's really become the golden standard. It's realistic, it's achievable, and it's a measurable goal, right? And it ensures that you're going to be active outside of workouts. So that's really where the 10,000 steps, but you will hear people, fitness influencers, oh, you don't need 10,000, you need 7,500 because they just want to, it's not the 10,000, it's 7,500 because they feel like that's going to at least get people up. But I'm on the flip side. I'm like, listen, are you in or in the way? It's that simple. Are you in? Well, let's do 10,000 steps. That's what we're guiding for. Sure. There may be a day where you get 9,000. There may be a day where you get 8,500, but we know that that's still going to give us all the benefits that I'm going to go through. But hey, man, we're over 40 alphas. We strive to be the best. Let's do 10,000 steps. That's what we're going to do. We're going to step outside our comfort zone and we're going to create a lifestyle behind it. So what are some of the scientific studies? Because, I'm a science nerd. I get a lot of research on a daily basis. So what's some of the science but I don't base everything on science. I base everything on results, but I am a science nerd. I use them both. So what are some of the benefits for walking, right? Getting these 10,000 steps per day. Number one, more steps equal lower risk of early death. Like studies have shown that there was a study in JAMA, which is a published it's a publication that followed 4,840 adults and found people who took 8,000 steps per day had 51% lower risk of dying from all causes. And those who took 12,000 steps a day had 65% lower. So to those who only completed 4,000. So there was a group of people who completed 4,000. There was a group of people who completed 8,000 and a group of people who completed 12,000. So that study really showed that the more steps you're getting throughout the day, the lower risk of all-cause morbidity, all causes of dying, lowering that risk. Walking reduces cardiovascular disease. So people who struggle with high blood pressure or the chances of stroke or heart disease, right? There's been 32 studies and more that found that, walking 30 to 60 minutes per day significantly reduces cardiovascular risk factors. Now, all the things I'm talking about are going to be aside from your workouts. Because yes, you're going to get the workouts, you're going to get steps there, but we're talking about as well as, right? Fat loss. This is the big game changer for me. 10,000 steps burns an additional 300 to 500 calories per day. So if you're trying to lose weight, right? You're trying to lose fat, lose weight, reduce the fat percentage, body fat percentage. Remember, for testosterone production, for optimal testosterone production, our body fat percentage needs to be 15% body fat or lower. That's what we're trying to get to, or 15% to 8%. That is the sweet spot for testosterone production. Anything high, if you have our body fat higher, it's going to be very difficult for you to get that testosterone production because there's going to be so many things in the way of that process. So we want 15% or lower. And that's what we are striving for. So part of that is still eating, the 3 meals a day, still making sure that we have our alpha meals, still making sure that we have a source of protein, a source of complex carb, a source of healthy fat, and a source of vegetables or fruits every single meal. 3 meals a day. That's it. It's very simple, but we have to have those things because they help with our hormones, with our metabolism, and everything else. So with that, maybe you're getting 2,500 calories a day. Maybe you're getting, 2,200. Maybe you're getting 3,000 calories, depending on how much muscle you have and what your BMR is. But we also want to be able to additionally burn calories. How are we going to burn more calories? Because we're burning during the workout, we're eating these calories, but we still want to have a caloric deficit. So getting that extra calorie burn of 500, let's say you're getting 500 more calories per day, right? So now you're eating 2,500 calories, but you're burning 3,000 calories, right? So now that's where the fat loss comes in. That's where you're going to be able to lose fat. It's the calorie deficit. So I don't like saying eat less because we need the food. I like saying burn more. So burning more using walking specifically is a massive, will give you massive significant reduction in your body fat percentage and waist circumference. Just walking. And then just blood sugar regulation, specifically for those of you who suffer from type 2 diabetes or have insulin resistance, huge. Like 10-minute walk after meals. This is what Angela and I started doing. We started walking after our meals. It significantly improves your blood sugar levels and it helps with digestion. And that's how powerful of a metabolic tool this is. Studies have shown that specifically in diabetes care. I've been helping my father through his diabetes and so forth. And just that walking back and forth throughout the day in his house has helped him quite a bit, right? So when you look at some of those main things like, blood sugar regulation, right? We always want to be insulin. We want to be insulin sensitive, right? Fat loss. That's one of our biggest things, is keeping our body fat percentage low while we build muscle. Cardiovascular disease. We don't want anything to do with cardiovascular disease, right? We want to make sure that we're eating healthy, we're doing the things that we need to do, and we're walking. And of course, lowering our risk of early death. I don't know about you, but I want to live till I'm 100, and I don't want to be 100. I don't want to be 100 years old in a wheelchair like my grandmother was, or 99 years old. I want to be doing burpees. I want to be doing 100 burpees when I'm 100 years old. I want to be able to see my kids, grandkids, get married. Like, I want to be there for generations of my family, and I want to be there, cognizant and healthy as we're doing this. So that's what I'm doing. The things I do today and the things we do today as men, we have to think about the future. What type of life do we want to live when we're 80, when we're 90, when we're 100, seeing that, we have so much technology and science. We gotta put in the work today in order to get the benefits of what we want to look like, right? Unfortunately, for a lot of us, we didn't do that when we were younger, right? Like in my 20s and 30s, I definitely didn't yes, I was a professional athlete, and yes, I did things that, that an athlete would do to stay healthy. But on the flip side, I did all the things that you shouldn't be doing: partying, drugs, who knows, whatever, not stretching, all these things. I look at my son now, who's 28, and leans into all of those things. He's leaning into man, I'm 28 now, but I don't want to I don't want to have back issues and hip issues and knee issues. I want to be, doing things in my 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s better than you are, Dad. So I'm going to put the work in now. I don't drink, eat healthy, he trains, and all the recovery piece is key. Like, he's understanding recovery, and a lot of younger guys are doing that. And that's why we lean into recovery. We lean into all these things, and we can still deposit all of the healthy lifestyle and get the results in our 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s so we can be there for our family, right? So with all of that, that's great. Again, fat loss and muscle maintenance is another key element. I talked on the fat loss, but what are the other things that we need to do as we get older? We need to build muscle because we're suffering from sarcopenia, natural loss of muscle due to aging. And of course, if we're building muscle, we can reverse sarcopenia. But if we're not, like, it's not one of those things where, yeah, but I worked out today, but I haven't worked out in 2 months, but I worked out 2 months ago, so I should still be good. No, sarcopenia doesn't mess, man. Like, as soon as you stop being consistent with training and building muscle and trying to get stronger, sarcopenia is going to slide right in. And as we get older, that increases the loss of muscle due to aging. I know what it's like to lose muscle. Literally, when I had crypto organizing pneumonia, when I was put on prednisone, I don't know if you've ever used if you've ever been put on prednisone, you know how absolutely horrible this drug is. But I needed that drug in order to save my life, right? I had a lung disorder and we needed to keep that inflammation down as I was recovering, along with a host of other side effects. Prednisone also eats away at muscle. And I have a picture of, like, and when my doctor told me that, I'm like, no worries. I'm good. I'm muscular. I'm good. I think it was like 3 weeks later, I used to I had a 6-pack. And then 3 weeks later, I literally had no muscle on one of my abs. Like, it was literally not there. So it looked like a 5-pack. I have a picture of that. And that's how much of a light bulb went off. Like, man, first of all, this drug doesn't mess around. And second of all, sarcopenia doesn't mess around, because that's literally the same thing that sarcopenia does, but it's doing it in a quicker way. So we need to build muscle. We need, and not being a bodybuilder, but build muscle. So one of the things that a lot of men will do is they'll do cardio. They'll be like, okay, well, they want to do the workouts, but then they want to burn more calories. So they'll do these long, like 40-minute, get on the treadmill, run, or, just get on the elliptical or whatever. But that's what actually kills your muscle, right? It puts your muscles in a catabolic state. So we want to do something where we can burn calories without stressing the body. And that's where walking comes in, right? That's where this form of exercise burns calories without putting stress in the body, without increasing our stress hormone, which is cortisol, right? Cortisol is catabolic. We do need cortisol at some point, specifically when we're working out, but we also want an anabolic environment. So yes, the metabolic workouts are great, right? They're amazing. But imagine if we did those metabolic workouts every single day, which is why I tell you guys only work out 3 to 4 days a week. The other 2 days are your recovery days. That's the reason. Because if you do those workouts every single day, you're going to elevate your cortisol. It's going to not only make losing fat harder, right? Because you're putting your body in a stressful environment, but you're also going to eat away at your muscle, right? So what is a strategic way to get the benefits of caloric burning? It's going to be walking low impact, low stress activity that allows us to burn calories without interfering with our muscle recovery or our hormone balance, right? So it preserves that lean muscle mass that we're working so hard for, right? And of course, as I mentioned before, triggers the fat loss and the fat burning mechanisms. So here's the other thing that walking does. When you're walking, like, I just want to say this. I'm not talking about walking the dog. Okay. I'm not talking about going on walks with your dog. That is not what I'm talking about here. Okay. Sure. You're going to get extra steps. Yes. But like, there's going to be times where you're going to need to go out for a walk, and walking and when you walk the dog, you're not walking the dog. The dog's walking you. You're stopping, you're walking, you're here, and then you're stopping, and then the dog's pulling you here, and you're trying to pull the dog. That's what I'm talking about, man. I'm talking about getting out there and actually getting walking, putting a specific time in place to get your steps by walking. Yes, you're going to get it throughout the day, but that's what I mean by walking, because I do have neighbors who tell I love my neighbors. I love my neighborhood. This is our little community and tribe. And they always come to me because they know who I am. And they're always like, hey man, I have a neighbor who walks his dog every day and he's obese. And he's just like, yeah. And I've given him workouts. I've given him nutrition. I've given him, you give. And he's like, yeah, but I walk my dog every day, and I had to give him the hard truth. I'm like, dude, you're not getting the exercise by walking your dog. I see you walking the dog because I'm up at 5 o'clock cleaning and I look out my door and the dog's walking you. You're not walking the dog. You're not getting enough steps. You got to do extra, right? Yes, that's great. You're going to get some steps in, but now we have to all I want you to do is walk. I don't even want you to work out. Just walk and eat healthy. So that's why I'm a little bit, let's get some specific time for walking. Right, specific time for walking. And again, I've gone through all of the risks of being sedentary. They're talking about sitting for long periods is the new smoking, really and truly. Like that's what they're saying now. Like and because excessive sitting, lack of daily movement is linked to weight gain, heart disease, shorter lifespan, and like even for me, like I have back issues, right? But I have really bad back, right? Really, really bad back. And so one of the things that I was told on one side to do is, rest. Like, no, dude, because if I rest, my back's only going to get worse. I have to work out. I have to continue to do the workouts. I have to work on my glutes. I have to work on my hip mobility. I have to train. I have to move because if I sit or I rest or I lie down, it's only going to get worse. And it does. It only gets worse. So even with these ailments, you still have to find a way to get it done. But this sitting and lack of movement and all of these things is directly linked to the same types of things that smoking would lead to, right? That's why they're calling it the new smoking. But it's so true. There's so much evidence now that, it's not even a debate. When you sit for long periods, our body's ability to burn fat slows down. The great thing about walking is that it uses fat as a fuel source, right? Because it's a low intensity, long duration movement, right? It's not that medium intensity that you would do on a treadmill or on a elliptical or on a stair climber, right? You're not doing low intensity. You're doing more medium to a little bit higher at certain points. But this is low intensity. It's longer because you're doing it for 10, 20, 30 minutes, depending. So your body's actually looking and using fat as a fuel source, which is what we want in some cases. So, that's another key element that I want to talk about, and why we can continue to hold on to that fat, to hold on to muscle. But yeah, prolonged sitting increases our fat storage, increases obesity, metabolic syndrome, etc. Higher risk of cardiovascular disease, weakens in the body and causes stiffness. So that's where I was talking about, whenever I've been sitting here for a long time and I get up, my hips are tight, my back hurts. So I got a treadmill right here now that I invested in, or a walking pad that now I can stand up and walk and do work as well. Because the more we sit and the more we lie for longer periods of time, it weakens our core. So if you have a job where you have to drive a lot, you're already put in or sit a lot, you're already put in your back is against the wall. So we need to do things like, our mobility, core strength, etc. But getting up and doing movement is going to be really key for us as well. You probably have a lot of chronic pain and muscular skeletal disorders if you do a lot of sitting. So we got to thwart that. We got to combat that. And like I mentioned before, even your daily workouts are not going to reverse the damage of sitting. So let me repeat that. You know how we do workouts and hip mobility on a daily basis? Not even that. If you sit down for the 16 hours after doing a workout or what have you, it's not going to help you. We need to add these things. We need to add walking and getting up a little bit more and, doing things that every 30 minutes you stand up, you do 10 squats, you do some push-ups, you walk up and down or do whatever. Even if you're at work, you just stand up in the office, you take calls, you ask your boss for a stand-up, desk, or you invest in a stand-up desk, like things that will help you stay up and move around. Those are things that we can do to implement into our lifestyle. Like we're 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s right now, right? We're not like 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds that have to adhere to I'm not in the corporate world, so I haven't been in the corporate world for a while, so I don't know the actual atmosphere there. But we're at a point now where we should be our work, and that shouldn't be our life, right? Our work should fit into our life, not our life is our work, because we're at the point now where we're closing in on retirement, or maybe we want to do something different with our lives that has like a passion that we want to start something new, specifically with AI and everything else, man. The doors are open. You can do literally anything. So we want to make sure that our health and our lifestyle and our family and whatever, those are the things that take precedent over our work. Yes, we have to put food on the table. I 100% understand. But man, it's time to like, hey, can I get a stand-up desk? Hey, do you mind me putting a walking pad underneath my desk? Like whatever it is, because you're leading the health movement that most corporations would love to implement, right? So anyways, that was just an aside. The bottom line is 10,000 steps. It's going to keep your metabolism up. It's going to help burn extra calories. It's going to counteract all of the sitting or the, inactivity that we may have. It's going to reduce heart disease, obesity, diabetes, metabolic disorders. It's going to preserve our muscle, right, while improving mobility and enhancing our recovery. It's going to lower our stress hormones like cortisol, and it's going to help us to burn more fat, right? The good thing about this is it's not hard. It's not hard to implement, but it is hard to stay consistent. So the only way you're going to stay consistent is being able to track, right? Being able to track. So let's talk about how we can incorporate 10,000 steps into our lives. So number one, finding a tracker. So for me, I use Whoop Strap. Thank God they finally incorporated steps. I don't like using the phone, okay? Because that means that we have to have this thing on us all the time, right? And this thing being on us all the time is not the healthiest thing for us at all, both hormonal, etc. That's a whole other podcast episode on its own. But we want to be able to track our movement. So getting some type of a tracker, a wearable, which is key, a wearable that does more than just steps, a wearable that can give you more information, because the more information we have, the better choices we can make, right? The more information we have about what we're doing, instead of like, oh, I think I get that, or maybe I do, the better it is for us to make better choices in our lives and get rid of things that aren't helping us and introduce things that we need. So getting some type of a tracker at this point, there's so many out there, is great. Now, how do we incorporate more walking, right? How do we get that in? So one of the things you can do is wake up in the morning, start your day off with a 10, 15-minute walk, right? Like if you're not working on the morning, wake up earlier. Get outside. So one of the things I do in the morning is I take out the garbage. Like I clean up the house in the morning. I clean downstairs in the morning. I've been doing that for God knows now. It's like 7, 8 years now. But every morning I go downstairs and I clean the house so that I set my goal every day is to create an environment that allows Angela to win. Create a winning environment for Angela when she wakes up, or in the past when she comes home from work. So creating a winning environment for her is, because I always get up earlier, is her getting up, going downstairs, smells great, everything's done, it's nice and clean. That mentally for her, that just starts the day out. Mentally for anybody, that's going to start the day out, as opposed to coming downstairs and the freaking dishes are in the sink and everything's in like disarray. So for me, I get up and I clean in the morning and I go out. When I take the garbage out, I go for a walk, right? So whether it's freezing cold, whether it's hot, and there's in the summer it's great because I get the vitamin D. I get the vitamin D and all of those things. And so walking in the morning is great, right? Getting outside, specifically when it's cold, it gives you some energy. I go out there and literally my shorts and I put a coat on, or depending on how cold it is. I live here in Toronto, so it can get really cold. I just go for a walk after I put the garbage in, and that starts, even before breakfast. That's a way of getting some steps in. Lunchtime walk, right? If you work somewhere and you go for lunch, again, like just after you eat, you prepared your meal, you bring it to work, you eat, go for a walk, right? Instead of scrolling, instead of sitting at your desk and, I got to get this email done. Hey, man, the email can wait. Those things can wait. People think that, oh my God, if I don't respond to a text, or if I don't get this email done, the world's going to end. No, man, what if you're on a plane and those people email you or text you? You can't get back to them. You get back to them when you have a chance to get back to them, right? You dictate when you're going to get back to people. In most cases, obviously, if it's time sensitive, of course, but lunchtime walk, go for a walk at lunch, go for a walk after your dinner. That's a key time to go for a walk. You finish dinner, you finish eating, take the wife or take the kids, or you just go out and have a nice little walk, and be present at what's happening be mindful and present on what's going on. Don't bring your phone. Don't bring anything. I never bring my phone on walks. I never bring my phone when we hike. I never. It's Angela's phone that we use to take pictures because she's tracking stuff. But for me, I don't take my phone anywhere where I want to be present, right? Because it can be a crutch sometimes. So go for a walk. Don't take your phone. It aids in digestion. It helps you unwind and get ready for sleep, right? That most important thing. You can set walking alarms, like every 60 minutes, get up, okay, I'm gonna walk around, I'm gonna do some squats, boom. I'm gonna talk about another key for us guys if we want to improve our health and muscle is killing those leg workouts. Really and truly pushing yourself by building strong, powerful legs. That's another, new studies have shown that just working on your legs can help with your overall muscle. But setting your alarm and doing things like that, go for a little bit of a walk every 60 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever it is. And then attach walking to another habit, right? So again, maybe one of the habits you have is maybe it is making phone calls. Maybe it's like, I know that a lot of my clients, like I'm also a business consultant, and a lot of times the clients that I work with, they're walking or doing something. They're walking while they're on the phone, right? Remember when I had Ben Greenfield on the podcast. Ben Greenfield, if you don't know who he is, he's a biohacking monster. You can check him out. But when Ben Greenfield was on my podcast, he walked the entire he just literally he was in the backyard and all he did was walk around the backyard and he talked the entire time. Go back and watch that. It's a very good, podcast episode. He talked about the power of walking, but yeah. So if you attach it to another habit, maybe you listen to a podcast while you walk, maybe you're drinking your morning coffee. Maybe you're like, I'm going to go for a morning coffee walk. I'm going to get my coffee, put in the thing, and I'm going to go for a walk. Like if you attach, things like walking to another habit, like for me, one of my first walks is dropping the garbage off and going for a walk around the block. That's a habit. I always have to drop the garbage off. And so I add that to my habit, right? There's ways of doing it. At first, it's going to be tricky. Like at first you have to figure things out, right? You have to learn how to get this in. It's going to be hard. Yes. That's what we embrace. We embrace hard work. We embrace difficult. We embrace challenges because when we overcome those things, man, it's just like, all right, I was able to do that. I can't believe it. I remember how difficult it was at first, but now it's like, this is what I do. I don't know any different. So yeah, like there's so many different ways. You can do walking meetings. You can, now if you work from home and you're going to do a meeting, grab a walking pad, buy a walking pad and do your meetings while you're walking. That also increases creativity and focus and productivity when you're not just sitting, stagnant. Take the stairs, right? So you hear about that all the time, right? Oh, I'm going to take the stairs so I can eat the donut when I get to the top. But no, let's just take the stairs to add some steps, right? Park further away from the store you're going to. I have a story of, I remember when we used to go to, Angela and I would go and I would drive and I would park further away and it would piss her off. It's like, honey, there's a parking spot right there. I'm like, honey, as soon as I say we're getting our steps in, she's like, okay, cool. Right. Cause I just park where it's open. I don't like to, cramp myself in. I was like, let's park over there. It's like, it's an extra 1 minute walk or 2 minute walk, but we're getting our steps in, right? So parking far from the end of the lot or, just using public transit sometimes, whatever it is, walk to the store as opposed to driving to the store if it's close. Many things you can do, playing with your kids or your grandkids, right? That's the easiest way to get that movement in, right? Like playing, it's not just about walking too. Like you could just play soccer or play tag or do other things. I mean, as grandparents, we want to be able to play with our grandkids. We want to be able to walk and throw them up and do all those things. Go for family walks. Say, okay, guys, we're going for our after dinner family walk. Let's go, everybody. Let's go. Let's get our steps in. When you can involve your family, it really shows your kids, your grandkids that, oh my God, dad's really, he's really leaning into being healthy. This is another healthy thing that we want to teach our kids, our grandkids, right? And those around us. So, great ways to get it in. Again, you just have to be creative, right? We have to be creative. How can I make sure I get this in? And yes, it is going to be an obsession. 100%. It is going to be an obsession. Once you start this 10,000, and if you're leaning into it, man, you're going to be obsessed. Like Angela is obsessed. Like I've never seen anyone so fixate. It's like, man, I need 100 more steps. And she'll just walk back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, just to get those steps in. Right. But again, the way we can get those things in is leaning into apps and fitness wearables, smartwatches. Again, I don't like the phone apps just because that means we have to have the phone on us all the time. Like having a pedometer or anything else that helps us track, because tracking helps us create awareness, right? We overestimate daily movement. I told you that before. A lot of us think that we get the 10,000 steps, right? And even when I work with you, like when I work for the UFC, when we do work, I work for the UFC. I work fighter relations, right? So from the time fighters get to the venue, or from the time the fighters get into the city, we're with them. We get them from the airport. We check them in at the, we take their weight. We let them know where they need to go and where they need to be. Throughout the week, we're making sure that their training rooms are clean and everybody's okay. And then we do the weigh-ins, and then we do the ceremonial weigh-ins, and then we have to create, do the back end and for the fight night and all of those things. All those things are a lot of walking. Right, back and forth, walking back and forth, like unloading to set up our office at the hotel, and then loading up the trucks to set everything up when we get on fight night. Like there's so much that goes, and then during fight night I do the walks, right? So it's like, all right, Conor McGregor, let's go. You're fighting in 2 minutes. Like, Conor, let's go, and then walk Conor out to where he goes out to the cage, and so on and so forth. So it's a lot of walking. And even then, it's like, I'm talking like, we're talking 15 hours. Like those fights start very, very early, right? We're at the venue early. And even then you're getting like 20,000 steps, but you're thinking you're getting like 50,000, right? And there's some other days where even with all the walking, you're barely getting 10,000 steps. So when you have tracking, it gives you a clear picture of how much more you need to do, or in some cases, how much you're getting, right? Sometimes you may be getting, but seeing your daily step count will also help you push, right? You're going to take those extra walks. You're going to take those small movement breaks. You're going to kind of gamify walking, right? It's like, friendly competitions with everybody. One of the things I want to do is a 10,000 step challenge. I want to make sure everyone has enough, to get some type of a wearable where we can do a 1 month, 10,000 step challenge where we hit those challenges every single day, right? Getting that 10,000 steps every day. We can do it together. We can compete together, but we can also support each other, right? Because one of the things that we want is support. This is a community of men who are different from other men. It's funny. Bloomberg just reached out to me. I think it's Bloomberg. It's a website, and it's an issue, like a magazine. They just reached out to me to say, like, man, I'm seeing what you're doing with this over 40 Alpha Brotherhood for men over 40. I'd like you to kind of, take me through what you're doing or whatever, like how lives are changed. And when I go through the proof page, this is something that I love to do, and I start showing all of your transformations and the stories. I'm like, I just want to premise, it's like, these men are different from other men. Like, these are the men that leaned into changing their lives, because all this information's out there, but they leaned into changing their lives, and they are the ones that put the work in. Like, I just gave them here, this is what you do. But I've given many people, this is what you do. But these men that you see here are the new wave of men they're changing their lives and change the lives around them, but they're leaning into being different, right? And so, I don't know where I was going with that. Oh yeah, so that's one of the things I see when we do things, like we support each other. That's the word I'm looking for, because we are different, but we're the same, right? We are all the same inside the brotherhood. But we're different from other men because we are really leaning into our health and our fitness as we get older. So yeah, I mean, one of the biggest things right now that I can say is hoping that you understand the power of getting those steps, the power of NEAT, right? Non-exercise, active thermogenesis, the way we can burn more calories, 500 calories, 300 to 500 calories per day extra just by getting 10,000 steps, aside from the workouts, right? Yes, the workouts are going to count, but like, that's what we want to do. We want to do the things that are going to help us prolong our lives and longevity and, get in the best shape we can. So Start tracking, like whether it's today or whether you go out and buy something that's gonna. And I'm telling you, don't rely on the phone, because that means the phone's got to be with you all the time. Get something, get a wearable, get something that not only helps you with your steps, but also helps you with other things too. Whoop is one that I will always promote. I have an affiliate link with them. You get a free Whoop strap, and they have so much information, sleep, recovery, etc. But there's so much out there. There's other things out there. And start implementing things that you can do, right? Stairs over elevators, parking further away, dedicating time to add walking, right? Take the dog for a walk, 100%. Not saying not to do that, and you'll get steps there, but we're gonna have to do some other things to help and to make sure that we get those steps in. So with that is it. I think we're done. Get it done. Take care, guys.